Hey guys, it's B, and I am here with LA Angels first baseman Jared Walsh. All right, Jared, thank you for joining us today. Let's go right into this. So first off, do you have a quote or a motto that you like to live by?
Yes. There's a quote, two roads diverged into wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And that's kind of how I think about mine, a little bit unconventional path to the major leagues. So, yeah, something that stuck with me when I first read it.
That's a good one. Honestly, I haven't really heard that one, and typically it's like a one-line quick one. And
I think it's in, there's a movie called Dead Poets Society that we watched in high school, and I believe that's where I first heard it.
And it just stuck.
Yeah, and I really liked it.
Okay, so what drives you to keep training every day?
Just really love playing baseball. You know, it's pretty simple. There's a lot of other jobs that people are out there working that aren't as fun as baseball. So the fact that I get to wake up and lift weights and hit all day is pretty much a dream come true.
So you enjoy putting in the work?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you've been compared to your teammate Ohtani because you also have the ability to be a two-way player. So how do you prepare knowing that maybe you show up and they'll say, hey, we might need you on the mound, or we may need you in the outfield? How do you prepare for that?
I think a lot goes into it, nutrition, sleep, and getting your body prepared. It's really taxing on the body, so got to get in the weight room, like we said. Got to make sure you're mobile and healthy, because if your body's not working the right way, you're going to be in big trouble if you try to go out on the field and do it.
So you're just always ready to make those adjustments?
Yeah, always trying to make those adjustments. It's a grind every day, though.
So after a game, a lot of players, they like to check out of the game. They like to focus on other things, maybe outside of their sport. But it seems like you live, every day is just baseball. You eat, breathe, and sleep baseball. So you've mentioned before that, before the big leagues, when you'd finish your game, you'd be tuning into any of the games that were on. And then now, you're a big leaguer, and you're still doing that. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a childhood obsession that is still persists to this day. My roommate Phil Gosselin and I would come home every night and watch MLB Network and watch the games and talk about baseball. Hopefully I find more hobbies after the game to do, maybe video games or something like that. But yeah, I just love the game, love watching other people play, and just knowing what's going on around the league.
So you watch other people, but do you ever watch a replay of yourself? Let's say you have just some amazing play and it's on ESPN on repeat. Are you going to change the channel, or are you going to stay and watch it?
Most of the time, I won't watch it. If I think my confidence is down a little bit, I might turn on a highlight tape of myself and watch it a few times, though.
It's very understandable.
Yeah.
So let's go back to talking about your first big league game. Did you do anything different to prepare for that?
No, didn't do anything different. Just, the night before I called my mom, though, so the nervous energy going into the game, it was really trying to temper that down was the most important thing pregame.
So you just called your mom, talked it out, we're good.
Yeah, it was something that I had replayed in my head a lot. That moment, in the minor leagues, always thinking about when I was going to be able to make that call, and then when I was able to do it, it was just, really, really cool.
That's awesome. So now going into that first big league game with the Angels, you walk into the dugout, what's going through your mind?
Shaking, tons of nervous, excited energy, and the main thing was make sure the ball gets near the plate if you're going to swing. Don't swing at something over your head or a ball that bounces 50 feet. So just try to really key in on the strike zone.
And you know what? That's awesome to hear, because you have a lot of young athletes that look up to you and they'll watch and they just see, hey, he's out there, he's on TV. He must not get nervous. He must not be worried at all, but that's not what's going on here.
Nothing could be further from the truth. I would say that for pretty much every guy in the league, regardless of how established they are, how much money they have, there's nervous energy before the game.
So let's look at a timeline of kind of like your career so far. So you were picked in the 39th round in 2015. 2019 comes around, now you're called up to play with the Angels. So we fast forward to 2021, and you're playing in your first AllStar Game. How would you describe your journey so far?
Crazy, flown by, I felt like just yesterday that I got drafted, and now I'm like 6 years into my professional career. So just trying to live in the moment and really appreciate that. It's been hectic, but I've learned a ton, met a lot of great people, so really all I could ask for.
Pretty much always growing still.
Yeah, trying to. Inevitably, you're going to take steps back sometimes, whether it's your game or your attitude or whatever, but, knowing long term that I'm kind of working my way up is something that's really excited me.
So let's talk about that All-Star game. So during that game, you're out in left field. You don't usually play out there in left field.
Correct.
The ball's hit. It goes in your direction.
Correct.
What goes through your mind when you see that ball coming?
It was like a primal instinct, like, you freaked out and you're like, just went and attacked the ball. It had a lot of topspin, so I slid and I turned around and looked and it was in my glove and I was like, ran off the field and it was like a 800-pound weight came off my shoulders. I was like, I am glad that ball is in my glove right now because I was would have changed the game completely.
It's funny that you say that because, like you said, it was pretty impactful.
Yeah.
You ended the inning, but not only that, you kept the lead.
Right.
So when we watch it, it's like, wow, that was totally intentional. He did not have one thought that he was not going to catch that ball.
Yeah, I don't think that ball was hit so hard and so quickly that I don't think I had time to go through am I going to catch it? Am I not going to catch it? It was just, I saw the ball come off the bat and
You're
went
like, ball,
right.
got to get it.
Right.
So, okay, so this season, let's talk about this season. It's almost here. Spring training's around the corner. How have you been preparing to head back?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing I do most off seasons. Start off in the weight room and then eventually work your way back into hitting off the tee, flips. I'm hitting machine now, standing in on bullpens. So really just trying to make sure that I'm prepared to see pitches.
So you put in all this work on your own before you head back?
Absolutely, yeah.
So now I want to ask, why did you choose to work with PowerNet?
I chose to work with PowerNet because it was something that I could really identify with. When I was a kid, my dad and I would kind of bond over hitting in my driveway into nets and, going to these youth tournaments. Everyone's hitting into nets and, any baseball product that I came across as a kid that I thought was going to make me a better player was something that I was willing to entertain, and I'm still like that as an adult. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me.
I think it just goes with what we were talking about earlier: eat, sleep, and breathe baseball.
Yeah.
So
almost
although you keep saying
to a detriment,
yeah, you keep saying like, oh, maybe I'll get another hobby, but after every answer, I'm like, I'm pretty convinced it's not a bad thing.
No, it isn't. However, I think it's good to have balance. I play with a lot of spectacular players, and they have a lot of balance in their life. So I think that's something that I'm starting to learn now.
Okay, so you know what? You made it. We're done with the tough questions.
Okay.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to some lighter questions.
Okay.
All right, so first off, who would you say is the funniest guy in the clubhouse?
Oh, such a difficult question. Before I explain to you how there's different types of funny, Raisel Iglesias is really funny. He's got a very eccentric personality, good heart, so he's probably one of the funniest guys.
So you would say he's number one?
Yeah.
So it's tough. So you're saying there's multiple funny guys?
Oh, there's a lot of funny guys.
Are you one of them?
Depends who you ask. I would say most people would probably say that just because I talk a lot and I don't shut up. So
we're going to have to see. This video will be up. If you guys disagree, please let us know. Is he not funny? Because he's claiming
I'm sure
it.
somebody will say I'm not, just to spite me.
All right, so favorite ballpark outside of Angel Stadium?
Oh, man. Fenway is really cool. I like the history of the game, and I don't really love the clubhouse in Fenway because it seems like it hasn't changed since 1912 or whenever it was built.
So a little haunted?
But it's just like
That's
small.
what I think right away.
The ambiance there is really, really cool.
All right, so what is your go-to pre-game meal?
I don't really think that I have like a pre-game meal that I eat every time. We have kind of a rotation of different meals we eat at the stadium, but I would say stuff like chicken and rice, just kind of fuel you up before the game. Try not to go extremely heavy, but more of the basics, because if you're running around out there, you don't want too much stuff sloshing around.
That's true. Favorite baseball player growing up?
Barry Bonds.
Barry
Yeah,
Bonds.
that's
Okay.
not a lot of people's favorite answer, but Barry Bonds, favorite baseball player. Yeah.
So, what is the most memorable moment in your baseball career so far? It can be pro, it can be little league, anything.
Most memorable moment, I hit a grand slam off of Aroldis Chapman this year at Yankee Stadium. I grew up a Yankee fan, like huge Yankee fan. So, yeah, that was one of those things where I hit it and I touched the bases and then didn't really realize what had happened. And then I kind of got to my phone after the game and I was like, oh, okay.
Like that really
yeah,
happened.
that really did just happen. So, yeah, that's the coolest
That's a
moment.
pretty good one.
Yeah.
That's good. You know what? I just thought of one though. I did see in another interview you mentioned that you have a memorabilia starting and that you've been gathering some items. What would you say is I guess the top one that you're most proud of right now?
I don't have a ton of stuff. I would say, that's a good question. I think I will continue to kind of stockpile. I like Game Use Bats is kind of an Instagram account that I follow. He and I have interacted a little bit. So he gave me an Alfonso Soriano bat. That was one of my favorite players as a kid.
That's
Used
awesome.
a huge Sam bat. So yeah, that's probably the coolest one I have.
That's a good one. That's
Yeah.
a good one. You know what? All the questions are done. You got past the tough ones and the light ones. So thank you for this interview.
Awesome. Thank you.